welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here today to start a new vlog. So hello, I am recording this like a bit late at night, so if the lighting isn't perfect, I'm sorry. But I am starting my Taylor Jenkins reading vlog today. I'm super excited about it. So basically, if you didn't see the last iteration of this vlog, I did a vlog last year. The new Taylor Jenkins read book was coming out last year, Malibu Rising. I was super excited for it, but I realized that I had only read the latter half of Taylor Jenkins Reid's works, and I hadn't really focused on her first books. And her first books are very much contemporary, romancy type of books, and her latter half of her work is very much historical fiction of the decades of pop culture, kind of 60s, 70s, what's relevant, you know? Because Taylor Jenkins Reid just released her next book, Carrie Soto is Back, and I believe this takes place in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to kind of do the same thing. And if she's going to release a book every year, I feel like I might as well just do this and we'll just knock out her latter half and her first half while we go. So we'll start off with the book that I'm really excited to read. Obviously, this is one of my anticipated reads. Basically follows a character named Carrie Soto, who is a character from Malibu Rising. She is Nina Riva's husband's new girlfriend type of thing. And she's a tennis star. She was very spunky, very mean-spirited, and I liked her character right away because I thought she cared more about Nina's feelings than she did about their mutual boyfriend, which I really appreciated. I really liked Carrie Soto. I think she made a great impression. In this book, Carrie Soto has retired since then from tennis. She had always held the highest score of tennis matches won, I don't know. And now her title is kind of being threatened to be taken away from her. So Carrie Soto decides that she wants to return to the tennis realm and get her title back to still kind of prove that she is the best. So we'll see how it goes. I haven't heard anything about this book so far, which makes me scared, but also excited. Then the book that I'll be starting off the vlog with actually is Taylor Jenkins Reid's second published novel, After I Do. So in the last vlog, I read Forever Interrupted, which was her debut novel. I hated it. So I'm really apprehensive to read this one. Since I posted my November TBR, someone told me not to worry that much about this next book because it's miles better from Forever Interrupted, which I appreciate hearing because I feel like I'm gonna go into this a little bit more excited to read, and hopefully that doesn't distill my critiquing skills. I don't know. This one follows a couple, Lauren and Ryan. Yes. And their marriage reaches a breaking point, and they come up with kind of an unconventional plan to kind of save it. And they decide to take a year off and hope to find a way to fall in love again. And they're not allowed to contact each other. Aside from that, anything goes. So I'm excited to read this. I'm hoping that I'm going to at least like it more than Forever Interrupted. That's the goal, and that's what I'm aiming for. So for tonight, I do want to edit a video. Whether I do it all tonight is up for grabs. I could potentially stop halfway and then just start reading after I do. We'll see what happens. I just wanted to record this to get it started and take you along on my journey. Hello, so it is a new day. Am I wearing the same top? Yes, okay, let's not talk about it. So I'm gonna start exporting my October wrap up so I can get that up and going. But I did want to give you an update because last night I did read up to page 50 around. I don't know, no real thoughts yet. The beginning portion is definitely showing the relationship between, what are their names? Lauren and Ryan, and how their marriage relationship is kind of deteriorating over the years. So we start off the book by seeing this scene between Lauren and Ryan where they are arguing, they're kind of treating each other really poorly. And then it reverts back to around 10 years earlier where the couple meets and how their relationship forms. And they're very much in love. It's very cute how they meet, I guess, if you like romance. And then slowly over a couple of chapters, you start to see their relationship deteriorate, like I said. Now we're at the point where it starts with right now. And I think that this is the portion where they're going to talk about how they want to put the relationship on hold for a year instead of divorcing and kind of decide if they want to be together or stay separate. At this point now, they're 30 years old. This is the age that I am at. I have also been with my boyfriend for almost 10 years. So I'm like, okay, thankfully we're not married and we don't have to go through these trials and tribulations. So because of their age, I'm kind of okay, I understand, you've been together a long time and obviously their relationship is not working for them. So I'm interested to see how this conversation comes about. I can't say that it's pulling me in. The good thing about Taylor Jenkins Reid is that her chapters are quite short, especially in these earlier novels. I think it's still pretty prevalent within her newer work, and that's something I love about Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love a short chapter, and I'm very grateful for it. It feels like I'm flying through the book, and that's what keeps me motivated in reading. But does the plot itself keep me motivated in reading? I can't really confirm. Can't confirm or deny. I'm going to continue now while this is exporting onto my computer, and we'll see how it goes.
Woo! Now that I've calmed down, I'll talk about where I am currently in the book. So I am 150 pages in, so I've read 100 pages so far since I last updated you, and it's definitely getting way more sad. So at this point, I think where I updated you guys, we were just getting a look at their past relationship, but right now we're in the midst of their year of separation. And I'm not going to go into details because I actually think that the part that made me cry was a nice like surprise. I think it works to kind of shape both characters and where they are at the current moment of their trial separation, which is about 2 months at this point, I think. And it's the discussions that Taylor Jenkins Reid is having about like loving someone so much, but knowing that maybe the best thing is not to be together. I just think it's a really interesting dynamic to read from. I saw online this is categorized as a romance, and while I think the likelihood of them coming back together at the end of the novel is strong, I don't want to say this because I don't want to find myself crying at the end because they didn't stay together. But I think while that might happen is strong, I don't necessarily feel like this is a romance. And this is a like problem I have with most like literature that's written by women, is often categorized as like romance or women's lit, when I just think this is a contemporary novel about like a marriage. I don't know. Anyways, not much else to say. Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing is definitely more impactful, I would say, compared to Forever Interrupted. And I definitely like the characters way more. I wouldn't necessarily say they're like the most amazing characters ever, but I definitely think they're realistic. And I think that that's why this book feels more impactful, because the problem I had with Forever Interrupted was that they, one, did not feel realistic, and two, were just awful to each other. And while I feel like Ryan and Lauren are awful to each other, I do find it's realistic. Like there's nothing about their relationship that doesn't feel like it could possibly happen to like any couple, you know? So that's where I'm at right now. I have another 150 pages. So the likelihood of me finishing this tonight, I don't want to say tonight, just in case I don't, but relatively soon is high. I will update if I have other thoughts on the book, or like something jumps out at me that I want to say, or that I cry again. But we'll see. I'm actually genuinely very surprised by this book, and I'm enjoying my time so far. So
hello. So I ended up finishing after I do much quicker than I thought I was going to do. It took me 2 days to read. I absolutely flew through this, and part of that is because I genuinely had a really great time with this book. So before we start like with this review, in a sense, I am waiting for my grocery order to come in. So if the scenery suddenly changes or if I move positions, that is why, but hopefully they won't interrupt. So I know that I didn't really give a lot of updates on the book, and that's partly, I think, just because it was a simple story. Like you guys know, and like I've mentioned in this vlog, I went into this really not expecting a lot. I really didn't like Forever Interrupted, so I was apprehensive as to how much Taylor Jenkins Reid could have grown between two books, right? From Forever Interrupted to, let's say, Carrie Soto, there's definitely going to be a improvement in writing, in a sense, between an author's debut novel and their newest novel, right? That's what I showed in the last vlog. That was like the thesis statement, the hypothesis that reigned true. But between a debut novel and their second novel, I wasn't completely sure like how much Taylor Jenkins Reid could have grown. And I'm genuinely like really surprised with how much I enjoyed this. I came out of this with like tears in my eyes. You guys saw, like, this book made me cry multiple times. I think this is partly due to the fact that Taylor Jenkins Reid created really relatable characters in Ryan and Lauren. They don't have the most damning of marital issues. It's that they just had this pent up resentment for one another, and there's no reason for them to have gotten divorced except for the fact that they just genuinely weren't happy with one another anymore. Something I've noticed, and this is something that I've enjoyed from TGR before, is how fleshed out she makes her characters. So I really appreciated that the novel focused on Lauren, yes, and her growth and how she learned to be on her own and create her own happiness. But Lauren's family also made made for some really interesting characters. And that's partly due to the fact of how developed or fleshed out Taylor Jenkins Reid made them feel. I cried at the end, well, I cried on multiple occasions, but I cried at the end of this book, not only for the romance, the second chance romance that happens in the book, but also for what happens with the individual family members. This was not the best out of Taylor Jenkins Reid's prose, but I still enjoyed the structure of the novel. I really liked how Taylor Jenkins Reid moved from these like flashback chapters in the beginning to paint the picture of their relationship to the present day, and how both of these things shaped the plot that we are currently reading from. Does this novel have its issues? Sure. Like, do I honestly think Lauren and Ryan addressed the communication errors and issues that they were having at the beginning of the novel? No. Do I think that this novel worked to address any of the heteronormative expectations that perhaps we place on ourselves, that these characters definitely placed on themselves? How this novel is kind of pushing to save a marriage when sometimes a marriage doesn't work, and that's okay. I'm a child of divorce. I completely get it. No, but like, if you don't think too hard, this novel was fun and a joy to read. I obviously had a great time. I obviously sped through it. Objectively, I think out of enjoyment, I would give this novel like a 4 stars. In writing, I would give it like a 3. So I settled on a 3.5 stars. I wanted to give it like a 5 just because it was so much better than Forever Interrupted. And I was shocked and happy and pleased. But I decided to settle with what I think this novel really deserves, which is a 3.5. We're just gonna settle on that, and that's another book read for November. And we're definitely going to move right on ahead into Carrie Soto's back. I'm very excited for this. I'm nervous, I'm scared, but I think I can have the potential to like this. So I'm currently still working, so I'm going to give this one a go once I'm done work. Additionally, I am going to work tomorrow for the first time since my surgery. I'll stop bringing it up, I promise, eventually. So I might have some nice like b-roll, and because of that I also got the audiobook for this so that I could listen to it on the bus and metro. I do want to try to get some sort of a dent into this today, so I will update you when I can, hopefully. Hello, so I just got home from work. Isn't it great that it's so dark outside? Love wintertime, love being in Canada. But I did want to talk because while I was on my commute this morning and coming back, I did get 30 pages into Carrie Soto is Back. So I just wanted to give some first impression and like how I feel about the book. So right off the bat, obviously I'm enjoying it. I really like Taylor Jenkins Reid. But particularly I like how the novel is starting from when Carrie Soto is a child and taking place in the 1950s about. And it's really demonstrating why Carrie Soto is competitive. So the main premise of the novel is that Carrie Soto can't deal with the fact basically that a younger tennis star is coming in and like stealing away her title of being the best tennis star. And you're kind of like, okay, Carrie, like relax, like come on. But when you learn about her childhood, how she was raised, her growing up, her early like delve into tennis winning, you start to understand her more and more as a character. And I think this is gonna be a novel about a young girl and her dad, and that shit really breaks my heart. If you've seen like any vlog of mine where I read a book where there's like a tumultuous relationship with a child and their parents, I start to cry immediately. And I don't know if I'm ready to cry on 2 Taylor Jenkins Reid's books in a row, but we're gonna see how it goes. I'm definitely going to continue a bit more. I do have the audiobook. I'm going to read them tangential. What's that word? Why am I trying to be smart? I'm gonna read them at the same time, and we'll see how it goes. So I wanted to talk about where I got in Carrie Soto. I feel bad because I feel like I didn't update as much for after I do, but I just didn't have that much to say. And why I'm updating right now is because we just got to page 70 and we're talking about Carrie Soto's relationship with Brandon. the fuck's his name? I can't even remember. Brandon Randall, who is married to Nina Rivas, who is the main character in Malibu Rising, and that's how we meet Carrie Soto for the first time. And I think it's really interesting because Carrie Soto is extremely competitive. We know this. I was gonna say there's no point in Carrie Soto's actions, but there is. It's Carrie Soto's need to win and to be the best all the time. Earlier in the book is discussing how like she can't really get along with guys, like they don't really call her back. And so because she already has this like icy exterior, she has to like pretend she doesn't care, right, about these relationships. And what I think is interesting is that the reason Brandon is the choice is because he keeps calling her and he explains to her that she's the only one that understands him. And what's funny is that Carrie knows that that's like a line, like she completely gets it. But I think Carrie is so in need of a relationship and in need of this like understanding from someone else that she not falls for it, but continues to answer Brandon's calls in a way. I think it's interesting because at this point in the book, we see that Carrie has lost this relationship with her father. Her dad was her coach, and this need to be the very best. She felt like her father wasn't the one that was going to give it to her to make her the best. And so she drops him as a coach. And I thought that that was extremely sad because I think her father noticed like what he's created. Like Carrie Soto is the best player and he created this icy exterior, icy persona that she has now because she wants to be the very best. And I feel really bad for the dad and it makes me sad. And I think Carrie's relationship with Brandon is very surface level. I don't think she genuinely likes him. I mean, we're gonna see. But I think originally Carrie just wants someone that understands her. And even though she knows it's like a bullshit line, because she even says like, I am embarrassed by how unoriginal it all was. So like looking back on the story, she knows that Brandon was like a bit of a bullshitter. And she's embarrassed that she fell for Brandon. But I think Carrie was just looking for someone who can relate to her at a level of like this extreme competitiveness and this extreme need to be number one, that you kind of isolate everybody in your life. Brandon's isolating Nina, obviously, and we know that in Malibu Rising, their relationship is extremely rocky. So I just think that that's really interesting. And a dive into Carrie Soto's psyche that I think is necessary for us to understand why Carrie does the things that she does. And her relationship with her father makes me really sad because at the beginning of the novel, we know like Carrie is retired. She has finished her tennis career and she's considering coming back to be the best because she still has that innate competitiveness within her. And her father is right by her side. And we know, at least for that chapter specifically, they are on better terms. Carrie's considering him to be her coach again. And he's like happy about it. So that competitive nature that I think Javier is ashamed that he put into Carrie is still there. Like they're kind of still very, very similar. So I'm very interested to see how that relationship develops. It almost made me cry when she told her father not to be her coach anymore. But anyways, I'm gonna try, I think, to get to at least page 150 today. I am like speeding through it though. Taylor Jenkins reads, and especially her like more historical books, I tend to read them very, very, very quickly. So we'll see how it goes. If I do nothing tonight, maybe I'll continue reading it, but I am enjoying it as expected. So we'll see where it goes.
So I haven't updated in the entire day because today was me and Honani's Heroes of Olympus read-along reading sprints. So that video, the vlog for this book, will be up above in the cards. I am 200 pages into this, so a lot of my focus today was on this book, but I did want to give a quick update for Carrie Soto is Back. I am now on page 250, so yesterday I read about 100 pages, and I have to say there are a couple of things that I want to discuss. Primarily, I am really enjoying the story of Carrie Soto. I'm enjoying Carrie Soto as a character, really appreciating her relationship with her father. I think that is the most touching part of the book and the most impactful part of the book. Part of that, however, is the Argentinian representation in the book. Obviously, I myself am not Argentinian, and so I therefore cannot speak to the rep in the book, but I did just want to bring up a couple of things because the Latinx representation in this book is so intertwined with the relationship of Carrie Soto with her father, Javier, and also Carrie Soto's personality as a whole. I do want to bring it up that Taylor Jenkins Reid is not Argentinian. In fact, to my knowledge, I don't think she is Latinx at all. And these discussions have been brought up several times in the last few years, because it is now at this point, I think, 3 books where Taylor Jenkins Reid is writing from the perspective of a Latinx character. We had the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, where Evelyn Hugo was Cuban. We had Malibu Rising, obviously, where we followed the Rivas siblings, and now we have Carrie Soto. So these are all Latinx perspectives that,
to my knowledge, Taylor Jenkins Reid does not have. And it's really interesting because if you look at it from a critical perspective, Taylor Jenkins Reid is essentially pitting two women of color against each other in this book, right? Carrie Soto versus Nikki Chan. So I just wanted to bring that up because I have been looking at several discussions and because her Argentinian culture is so intertwined in the novel, I feel like it's a bit weird of Taylor Jenkins Reid to do. Now, again, I can't speak for the representation, so I don't know if it is harmful in any way. So far, it seems to just be adding like moments of bonding between Carrie Soto and her father. So they speak in Spanish to one another. And to my knowledge, that's as far as the rep is going in the novel. From where we left off in regards to the plot, at this point, I don't exactly know how much I want to describe the plot of the novel, but at this current moment, Carrie is battling to win a title. I don't think that's a spoiler. It's very much in the novel that Carrie wants to beat Nikki Chan in order to still be the greatest. And I don't know how much I've discussed this in the novel, but there is a lot of discussions Carrie Soto has on being great. She was taught to be great and that she was the best ever since she was a child. And while I think from Javier's perspective, it might have been innocent comments of calling her like the Achilles, the greatest warrior, this and that, Carrie kind of took that really into herself and created an entire persona on that. And in fact, her persona in the book is the battle axe. She's a bitch, and it's because she wants to win. And that's something that I really appreciate about Carrie Soto's character. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid does a really fantastic job of creating these unlikable women that you root for. And it's not necessarily that they are bitches, it's that they're just strong women who know what they want. And when you put them into frames of media and who should be accepted by the public, these types of women come off as assholes. And I do appreciate that about Carrie Soto, and I really do like how ambitious she is. I'm enjoying the flashbacks to her childhood with Javier because you really see where this personality came from. You really see where this ambition and motivation came from. There is also a romantic plot of the novel where Carrie is kind of opening up. So I did discuss this. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I was talking about how Carrie as a character is very closed off. She doesn't want to open herself up to people. And that is to have that persona of being a bitch. So this romantic plot that's happening, I'm really enjoying because she is opening up to this person. And it's very cute and really lovely to read from. It's really nice to see Carrie open up because at this point, 250 pages in, this is the first time that we're kind of really seeing herself soften and loosen. So I very much expect to finish this, if not tomorrow, the day after. I want to give myself a bit more time because I want to add some B-roll footage to this vlog. We are not 100% done with the bookshelves that we were building yesterday. So if I can get some footage of us building the rest of the bookshelves that I have so far, because I do plan to buy more, I would like to put it up. I would even like to set up my TBR shelf. So that might be a nice like addition to the video in terms of B-roll footage. I also plan to go to work, so I would just like to have some, I don't know, B-roll footage of like nature, like just leaving this like 4-wall office room that I have. So that's it for now. I don't plan to read anything else tonight. Like I said, my goal is really to work on the Mark of Athena, which is unrelated to this vlog, but that's also why you might not see me for a couple of days. Okay, bye. Hello, so I just wanted to close out this vlog because it's been several days that I've been doing this vlog and I just managed to finish Carrie Soto is Back yesterday. If you see, it's snowing. Vastly different from the beginning of this vlog where it was like 20 degrees outside and now it's like -5 and it's snowing. It's really beautiful though, if you can see, like, I think it's really cute. Anyways, I finished Carrie Soto's Back. I have a lot of thoughts and I don't know where to begin with this review. I think it's fairly obvious in this vlog and the last vlog that I do think Taylor Jenkins Reid is a very talented writer. She always creates really real characters and these characters are placed in situations that also feel extremely real. So you feel like Googling, and I feel like that is a sentiment that a lot of people have for Taylor Jenkins Reid's newer books or historical books, because all of these characters feel like you can do a quick Google search and learn about them. And I think that's also credited to the fact that Taylor Jenkins Reid probably does a lot of research on the time frames, the subjects that she's talking about. Like in this one, this book is about tennis, and while it's not the most engaging of subjects, at least for me, I don't really follow tennis or like tennis, but I did genuinely care about tennis for a bit in this book. Particularly, I think, because I really enjoy Carrie Soto herself as a character. She's the most relatable character I think TGR has written for me. I said the same with Camille in Daisy Jones and the Six. Through all of like elementary school, high school, CEGEP, which is like pre-university here in Quebec, I competed in a lot of sports. And I too, like Carrie Soto, was a very sore loser and a sore winner. I'm extremely competitive. It's not fun for those around me. So I related to Carrie Soto a lot in that way. The sour drive that Carrie had within the novel, I related to, and it made me like her more, but it also made me like Nikki Chan. Nikki Chan is the competitor when she returns back to the tennis game. I really like Nikki Chan's character as well because she was just as competitive, and I appreciated both these women a lot. They do develop some sort of friendship throughout the novel, and I really enjoyed that. I really like that they both bonded in a sense over their competitive nature. However, what really pulled me into this novel is Carrie Soto's relationship with her father, Javier. If you've watched a lot of my vlogs, every time there is a book that surrounds like a family dynamic, particularly with a daughter and father, I really love those types of stories. As soon as Javier was described on page, as soon as he came into the story, I immediately liked him, and he was the driving force that kept me reading the novel. Part of the reason that this novel was difficult for me to finish and is a really major gripe that I have with the book is the fact that Taylor Jenkins Reid uses Spanish throughout the novel. And I saw a lot of critiques of the novel that like Taylor Jenkins Reid includes Spanish and like there's no translation for it, so you can't really understand. But I don't think that that's a fair discussion, because based on context alone, you can understand what they're saying to one another. My problem, while I cannot speak for the Argentinian representation in the book, neither can Taylor Jenkins Reid. The more the novel went on, the more weird I felt about the amount of Spanish used in the novel. I understand that TGR wanted to have a discussion about predominantly white spaces, and there's a specific conversation between Carrie Soto and Nikki Chan within the novel that solidified this idea for me, but I don't think that discussing this was Taylor Jenkins Reid's place. I don't think as a white woman, this is her story to tell. I did a lot of research to see if Taylor Jenkins Reid is Latinx, and I could not find anything. In fact, I found a lot of articles where Taylor Jenkins Reid is talking about how she wants to include these things, and she still feels like it's her place, even though she is a white American woman. And I have a problem with that because she doesn't seem like sorry for it. So it started to make me really uncomfortable, and I was just thinking to myself, like, why? I understand why Taylor Jenkins Reid was doing it, because like I said, I think she was really trying to have a discussion of women of color in predominantly white spaces, but just as a white woman, it just felt weird. So I ended up giving this novel 3 stars because like I said, I really liked Carrie Soto outside of this weird thing that Taylor Jenkins Reid was trying to do, and it made me enjoy a novel about tennis. I really liked Javier as a character, but I just think the discussions that Taylor Jenkins Reid was trying to have was not enough, first of all, to warrant interjecting herself into other people's spaces. So what is the conclusion of this vlog? Well, After I Do is a novel that really surprised me in a positive way. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I think this is the start of Taylor Jenkins Reid demonstrating her talent in writing, her talent in relationships, and her talent in creating semi-relatable characters that are not necessarily the nicest, that don't necessarily make the best decisions, but the conclusion is worth the read. Carrie Soto is back ended up surprising me in a more disappointing way. While that relatable, like, mean kind of persona character that she, I think, excels in is present within this novel, there were just those parts of the novel that made me uncomfy to read as I went on. I will leave a link down below to some articles that discuss this and how Taylor Jenkins Reid is inserting herself into these spaces, just so that you guys can formulate your own thoughts on it. For me, it made me uncomfortable towards the end, so that's why I settled on that 3 stars. So this is the end of the Taylor Jenkins reading vlog. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And of course, because it is the end of the vlog, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. As I tell you every time, it does wonders for my channel. It makes me feel really good. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below how you felt about any of the books that I talked about in this vlog. And I never know how to end these things, so I will see you next time. Okay, bye!